Thank you very much for inviting me here today. I want to just take you through a series of slides to challenge our thinking and set some context into the opportunities and challenges for business related to sustainability programs, and also to share some of my thoughts and also some of my experience globally on some of the issues related to sustainability and business. First of all, I'll just introduce the Environmental Industries Commission. It was established in 1995, and it currently represents about 200 member companies, both in the UK and in Europe. And we are predominantly there to lobby and campaign for our members to grow the green economy. And it's covering an array of issues: resource efficiency, contaminated land, air pollution, water management, carbon, climate change, green buildings, eco-finance, and sustainable business. And we are a member-driven organisation, and we're here to support the government's green economy. What are the drivers for corporate sustainability? Well, from our members, we are hearing, obviously, competitive advantage. It's about profitability, it's about resource efficiency, more with less, and increasingly we're hearing from some of our bigger companies about resource security, and this covers the issue about energy security as well. And also there's issues around shareholder value and ethical premiums. We're seeing the preservation of corporate and brand image, reputation, risk reduction, performance standardisation internationally. These are all issues that our members are currently raising with us. And then there's community and consumer expectations and the desire to be good citizens. Some of our members actually want to do the right thing by their companies, by their employees, and by their customers. What is sustainability in operational terms? Now, because I'm the first or second speaker of the day, I thought to wake everyone up, I might set a little test to see if you're awake this morning. So, is sustainability in operational terms an overall conceptual model for a set of projects or initiatives? Is it a management and reporting framework? Is it a defined set of conditions, standards, criteria and principles which the government's looking at? Is it a vision for the future? Is it a buzzword? Any answers? Well, quite frankly, it's all of them and more. And that's one of our challenges that we have within the UK driving sustainability and business. We actually need to think outside the box, because we need new ideas, new technology, new methods, new mindsets for a new world. We can no longer do things the way we used to do them. We've got to actually open up our eyes, look more closely to see the journey ahead of us. And I'm challenging our EIC members to do exactly that. Because what is actually the alternative? Well, according to Shell, there is actually no alternative. We have to go on this journey. So what is sustainable development? It's a strategic process of continuous change in the direction of sustainability, meaning we have to be innovative, we have to think outside the box, and we have to move forward. And we have this funny idea that economic growth should be sustainable. But my challenge to you today is that we've got to do it differently, not the way we've been doing it. And it depends on what's growing and how we go about managing those issues. Because economic growth is obviously how we measure things in pounds, dollars, and euros, if the euro survives, in GDP. And GDP is very much the measure that matters. It's the one that we report in the papers. The government reports on it, the BBC News, etc. They will report on GDP has grown or declined or flattened, etc. But unfortunately, all these things also contribute to GDP. And these are all elements which impact on life as we know it. You know, you have a car accident, you contribute to GDP. Your house gets burgled, you contribute to GDP. We build a new prison, we contribute to GDP. You get lung cancer, you contribute to GDP. So our understanding of economic growth is so outdated, it's almost funny. And I challenge George Osborne to re-look at the way he looks at plan A and look at a plan B. Because we are starting to learn that actually there's other ways of measuring progress. This is something called a genuine progress indicator from Alberta in Canada, where they're looking at GDP and they're subtracting social and environmental costs against economic value added elements such as volunteerism, which links very much closely to David Cameron's Big Society. We're all in it together. So that means we're ready for change. And if you reflect on this graph, and some of you may have seen this before, we can see GDP going up on an exponential growth curve, but life satisfaction in the UK is literally flatlined. It hasn't changed. And I think this is where the government is actually considering where we go forward, because it's not just about GDP. There's other elements in our economy, in our society, and in the environment issues that we need to address. So we're not there yet, and we need to start looking at some of the accomplishments that we need to take forward within the green economy arena. We've certainly got to build more green projects, buildings, construction projects, infrastructure. We've got to look at resource efficiency, achieving major cost savings. We've got to look at implementation of technical waste reductions and efficiency solutions. Plasma technology, maybe. Anaerobic digestion's been spoken about. We've got to look at the creation of forums such as this and collaborative initiatives with different groups, so that it's not just about EIC working in isolation, that we build partnerships across different groups. We've got to get across to the board that the business improvements, which are unspecified, these are subjective issues that we can't necessarily measure. We've got to be supporting change amongst industries that are traditionally reluctant to get engaged in these issues. We have to successfully change policy through persuasive demonstration projects and projects that lead the way. And there's lots of them out there. I hear about them all the time, but often the minister doesn't get to hear about them because, they're busy dealing with other issues in the media. Creating waste to resource product line, looking at getting everybody on board, the whole supply chain. And when I've looked at EIC and other projects I've worked in the past, there's certain things that are common threads of how initiatives and programs are justified. Sometimes it's vision and leadership. Sometimes it's about, market trends. It might be just starting the journey. It might be stakeholder engagement. It might be brand value, whatever the justification is. But there are common threads of justification of why some companies are taking these things on board and driving them forward to create economic value. And this is just one example where things actually went wrong. This is a case study of a FTSE 100 company who ignored the corporate social responsibility issue, and their share price dropped significantly. It was a Department of Transport application, and they got denied permission, and their share price dropped, and basically over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it never recovered because they ignored the issue. The permission was turned down on industrial development because they'd ignored the high biodiversity value of the site. It was turned down by the Department of Transport, and they cited environmental impact on internationally protected areas. The share price dropped 12% within 3 days. The company wrote off 44.9 million in development costs. Profits, pre-tax profits, write-offs 65.2 million. Earnings per share down 73%. Now, these are big numbers, but what I'm suggesting to our members and to you in the room is that we cannot ignore these issues. The government cannot afford these projects not to go forward, especially at the moment. They're desperate to drive the green economy. They want to be the greenest government ever. It's not coming forward at the moment. And it's groups like the Aldersgate Group and ourselves that are actually being called upon by the government to come forward with proposals, with policies that can help drive these issues forward. So 2 major brands, and what I'm suggesting to you here today is we need a revolution in the way we think about environmental business. And we're starting to see that. The new buildings for a new generation. The CSI Tower in Manchester, initially carbon neutral, the Gherkin, and now the Shard that's nearly finished. These are new innovative buildings in cutting technology, in energy, in waste management, in recyclable materials, etc. Green buildings. This is in Pittsburgh. If everyone's been to Pittsburgh, the transformation in Pittsburgh has been amazing in terms of future-proofing cities and creating jobs and creating economic value. But with anything, there's a number of technical obstacles. We've got to look at the economic analysis of the social and environmental cost and benefits. In fact, it's interesting, the red tape challenge the government's running at the moment, they're saying one in, one out in terms of regulation. And I've suggested that environmental regulation is good for business. It actually drives the economy. In terms of the UK environmental services and technology sector, it's worth £112 billion. So you can't ignore that. And if you start cutting some of these regulations back, then you're starting to cut back UK PLC. Not compromising product performance is another technical obstacle. Beginning to close the loops, eliminate waste. And some of this I find with some of the members I speak to is understanding systems, understanding how we operate within the economy, how our businesses interact with communities. So we've got to look at systems analysis and look at where we leverage change within those systems to create added value. Technical feasibility issues. Sometimes there's challenges, just literally the technical aspects of it. Site contamination issues, specific waste resource problems. Then we've got resource obstacles, time, money. A lot of companies have had a lot of cutbacks. More people are doing more jobs for less time, etc., that they've got to drive these initiatives. So the sustainability initiatives and sustainability programs have been cut back because they're cutting back to core business. Limits to speed, flow of communication. Companies are literally overloaded. I spoke to a few members this morning that they were saying, we've got so much work coming on, but we haven't got the staff to actually drive the work. So there's issues there as well. Time pressures, staff, finding good consultants is another one that I hear. And then there's organisational obstacles, challenges with internal communication and cross-fertilisation of ideas. Sometimes I'm talking to our members and I will speak to one individual and they say, we've got this great idea, we really want to run with it. And then I'll talk to another person in the same company who wants to do the same thing but doesn't know anyone else who will take up that idea. And sometimes I feel like I'm a dating agency where I'm putting people together to create ideas and make things happen. Internal leadership, that's another area because there's some challenges there as well, showing leadership and vision. The perception of done it already. Well, we did this back in the 1990s. Yeah, sustainability. Yeah, we did that. Now we've moved on. A leap of faith, actually doing something, actually going ahead and saying, right, we're going to commit to do this. The Shard was a leap of faith by the investors. They said, we are going to do this. They had huge challenges to do that building, and now you look at it and you think, wow, that's amazing. External obstacles, and this is where EIC tends to fit in, policy and political obstacles, mostly national and local. EIC is there to help challenge policy. We make our politicians aware of our members' concerns. We'll run letter campaigns, media campaigns, etc. And often I find with the ministers and even the members of the various committees, they are grateful for the briefing papers that we present to them because they do not get the necessary information because of the cutbacks within the civil service. Personality conflicts, as always. the sustainability mystery. What is it? It's out there somewhere. And then general market pessimism. A lot of companies I'm finding are literally just sitting back and waiting because they're not sure quite what's around the corner. Lack of market incentives, government support. Confusion, lack of clarity. NPPF, for example, is a classic example, the National Planning Policy Framework. There's an announcement about sustainable development, but what does it mean? What is the definition of it? And getting market recognition for the initiatives, and sometimes industry sector resistance. But I want to leave a little bit of a positive message, because feedback from one EIC member, and it's only one, but some of them are actually seeing this as a market opportunity. It's actually profitable for you to actually overcome some of those obstacles that I've actually set out. And my good friend, Alan Atkinson, who some of you may have not heard of, he was a colleague who worked with the Limits to Growth report back in 1972 with Donella Meadows, says that achieving sustainability does not mean slowing down our economy. It's not about going backwards. It means speeding it up. We need to go faster, directing our energy towards the redesign, redevelopment of existing systems to create new opportunities for the future. So we need to really be innovative to get the rewards. And I'm challenging the government to do that, because if we are not innovative, if George Osborne is not innovative with his policies and the rest of the cabinet colleagues, then we will be challenging going forward. So sustainability programs, I would suggest to you, are a little bit like a jigsaw, because putting all the pieces together to form one picture is challenging, especially at the start. You've got all the pieces on the table and you go, where do I start? It's a 10,000 piece jigsaw. It's about identifying any missing pieces of the jigsaw, because if you've got one piece missing, that might be the bit that you need to create the opportunity. Keeping going despite how hard it is at the beginning, because when you start off with a jigsaw of 10,000 pieces, you think, I really haven't got the time for that, haven't got the resources to put down for that. And what I would say is, have a go, keep going. Understanding that our future relies on many interconnected pieces. We're surrounded by systems, and a jigsaw is a system, it's interconnected. And we have to understand that within our sustainability programs. Having a strategy to formulate the border, the initial border. When how we start a jigsaw, we always go around, we start with the border. We have a strategy of how we're going to formulate the border to make that and start that journey. Understanding how many pieces there are, how long it's going to take, and needing a box, a framework, a model, a program to see the picture initially, to have the vision, because otherwise sustainability programs will be challenging for you. Thank you very much.